chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, near and far. Hello to my Sabrina Speaks family. How are you on this wet Thursday evening here in the Cayman Islands as we make our way out of work and hit the roads? The roads right now are going to be very, very sleek and slippery, of course, because we're getting some showers. Prospect definitely got some today, and I know for sure in town, but right now it's raining pretty hard. So we want to tell you to exercise extreme caution if you're out there on our roads, and get home safely this evening. But welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Yes, we're back with you this evening. Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. For those of you just joining me for the first time, hello, I'm Sabrina, and you're tuned to one of those broadcast and live podcasts. It's coming live from the beautiful Cayman Islands, right here on CMR TV platform, Monday to Friday from 5 until 7, where we elevate talk, civic engagement, civic education, as we continue to grow in this virtual space. Yes. And this evening, our episode will be no different from all the other ones. We continue to learn and grow here in this space, because tonight, my aim is to be stepping into a part of our democracy that most people never truly see, but sometimes you hear it. Are you able to identify it? And what we're talking about is parliamentary privileges. Sounds technical, right? But even distant, but its impact reaches into our homes, also into our businesses and our daily lives. And it can be a shield to protect honest debate, or a weapon that destroys reputation with a single sentence. But before we go further into today's edition of Sabrina Speaks and getting more into that topic, I want us to just peel back all the layers. That's what we're going to do. Honest talk about this power and why it exists, and what happens when it's also misused. But remember, we love to hear from you. Yes, that could be by means of WhatsApp, or you want to call in and join the platform live, or you can even leave a comment right here on whatever social media platform you're streaming us live on today, because we want you to be a part of the discussion. Our number to call in live or also send a WhatsApp is 345-936-8255 to be a part of the discussion, whatever makes you comfortable. We love to have you being a part of this family. But the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and or participants, is intended solely for general, informational, and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional, legal, medical, or financial advice. So I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional regarding any specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented here. Yes, it's good to be back. And if you want to know if it's got more liquid sunshine in our forecast, let's go straight into our weather for tonight and into tomorrow. Compliments of the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Here's the forecast for tonight and into tomorrow. Synopsis calls for light winds with smooth to light seas are expected across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours due to a slack pressure gradient across the Northwest Caribbean. Radar imagery shows patches of showers offshore the western coast of Grand Cayman. Now, the forecast for tonight calls for mostly fair skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall to the mid 70s and winds will be northeast at 5 knots or less, becoming light and variable at times. Now, seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. For tomorrow, the forecast calls for partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 30% chance of showers. Temperatures will rise to the mid 80s with a heat index of 95. Winds will be east to northeast at 5 knots or less, and seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. There is going to be a high tide at 5:34 this evening and a low tide at 11:55 tonight. The sun will set this evening at 6:33 and sunrise tomorrow morning at 6:36. Now, the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Sunday afternoon. From late Sunday, an increase in cloudiness with scattered thunderstorms is likely as a series of troughs brings to the affected Northwest Caribbean. There you have it for your weather that's covering us for tonight and into tomorrow, and definitely getting you knowing what's in store as well for the upcoming weekend. So for all of you orchid lovers and for all of you out there with your plants, I see you. You get a break on your water bill unless you have a cistern or something like that. See, Mother Nature's taking care of you this evening. It's good to see you rolling in. Just remember to tell a friend and look what we got for you. It's that time coming up. Mess with Sabrina. There's so much good things in store that's coming as we continue to evolve and develop here. And I'm definitely developing my skills. Give me a thumbs up if you like what you're seeing. I am doing my best here and my training is definitely paying off. But it's time now to turn our attention into the news. What's making the news and top stories across the Cayman Islands, Caribbean, and international this evening. Yes, we turn our attention right now to opposition leader, Mr. Joey Hugh, is urging the government to ease what he describes as overly strict regulations on slower e-bikes and micro-mobility devices. Speaking in Parliament, Hugh warned that the current enforcement approach is undermining greener transportation options and making sustainable mobility less accessible for everyday people. He argued that Cayman should be encouraging safe, affordable alternatives, not pricing people out or over-regulating low-speed devices. And in other news making local news headlines today, government coffers are looking unusually healthy after Lands and Survey Department reported a massive jump in stamp duty revenue up to 64% higher than projected, marking one of the strongest years on record. Now, while the increase reflects booming property market, it also raises ongoing concerns about affordability for Caymanians, especially as overseas buyers continue to dominate high-value transactions. More on local news. The controversial Aqua Bay redevelopment on 7 Mile Beach is officially heading to judicial review. A group of residents successfully challenged the proposed 10-story project after developers attempted to block their case. Now, the court has now cleared the way for the challenge to proceed, meaning the future of the development remains uncertain as legal scrutiny intensifies. We will continue to follow development on this story and more. Let's take our shift and turn it into the Caribbean region here this evening. Oh, nope, we got that. Please bear with me. I am just doing my graphics here, so please bear with me. Yes. More in local news. There, we got it. We got it. Two Jamaican who have used a baby stroller as cover to steal high-value perfume from 3 different stores have avoided prison time, but they won't be staying in Cayman. The court ordered both women deported following their thefts, which were highlighted in a CMR's recent crime coverage. Now, the case has sparked review discussions about retail theft, border control, and sentencing outcomes. Yes, now it's time to go to regional news. We're going to turn our attention, just bear with me because some of these images, but I'm hoping you're liking the content we're sharing here with all the images now that are popping up. And let me tell you something. It is quite interesting, but you got to make sure you know how to juggle. Otherwise, guess what? You could get in some trouble. Thank you all for your patience. Nevertheless, you were here with me from day one, so you know where Mama's coming from. Turning it over to regional news. Yes, Jamaican conglomerate Grace Kennedy Limited has officially paid $3.15 billion to acquire the remaining of 50% of Dairy Industries Jamaica Limited from New Zealand dairy grant Forterra. The deal, first announced in late December, only revealed its price tag last week in Grace Kennedy's audited financial statements. Now, this puts the full value of the Chinese manufacturer at $6.3 billion, or roughly US $40 million. The acquisition gives Grace Kennedy 100% ownership of the company, best known for producing iconic Tasty Cheese brand. Industry analysts say the move strengthens Grace Kennedy's regional manufacturing footprint and signals a continued push into export-driven food production. Yes. And we also have news from the United States. The authorities in Michigan say a man rammed a vehicle into the Temple Israel in West Bloomfield is dead after exchanging gunfire with security. Now, according to the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office, the suspect drove the vehicle into a synagogue around midday, triggering an active shooter alert and a massive law enforcement response. Now, the FBI director, Kash Patel, describes it as an apparent vehicle ramming and active shooter situation. Officials confirmed no staff were injured. Through a security guard was struck by the vehicle during the breach. A fire ignited inside the building after the crash, leaving the suspect badly burned. The scene is now secure, as being reported. Investigators are who are working to determine the motive. They constantly will also have this reported on even more. Yes, yes, yes. And we now turn our sites across the pond, where we're following the fast-moving political fallout in Westminster. Tonight, after a new report from several Brexit advocacy groups sharply challenged the government's approach to EU relations. The analyst claims that Britain suffered a major economic damage during its decades in the European Union, pointing to slower growth and long-term damage to key industries. Now, critics of Prime Minister says that the findings undermines his push to reset ties with Brussels, including upcoming talks on food standards alignments. Downing Street hasn't responded yet, but the reports are already intensifying the battle over Britain's post-Brexit future. And we'll turn our attention a little bit now into entertainment news. British actor Idris Elba is officially being knighted at age 53, becoming Sir Idris Elba. The honor granted by King Charles III recognizes his outstanding contributions to film, television, and entertainment. Now, Elba, known globally for the roles of Luther, Thor, and Suicide Squad, and Beast, has long been considered one of the most respected and versatile actors of his generation. Now, his knighthood also acknowledges his advocacy work, including efforts to combat youth violence and support community development. It marks another major milestone in a career that has taken him from London's Hackney to top ranks of Hollywood. Yes, there we have it in our entertainment news. We're going to take it back right now to local because we got some exciting local news to wrap up our news segment here this evening in our community spotlight. Just give me a moment. Let me drag those images in here. Yeah. Bringing it right back to home, I am pleased to share with you this story. The Lions Club of Tropical Gardens welcomed recently District Governor Lion Judy King for her official visit. She encouraged members to treat the session as a meaningful conversation about the club's impact rather than a formal audit. The visit sparked productive discussions on projects, global causes, membership growth, fundraising, and mentoring LEOs. DG Judy praised the club's diversity and innovative team-based approach and encouraged greater engagement for senior members. Now, members described the visit as uplifting and energizing, leaving them motivated to continue serving the community with purpose. And that closes out our news segment this evening for Sabrina Speaks. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Wow. I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there. I am definitely getting there. And thank you all for your patience. But I just thought it was, you start one thing and you just open up your ability to just go more and more into it. And I'm just so happy that I'm embracing this digital stuff and that it's being able for me now to elevate the production here, right here on Sabrina Speaks all day, to make sure that I give you the best of me at all times. But thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your patience. And it can only get better from here. I want to send birthday wishes and anniversary wishes, all well wishes to everybody who's celebrating a birthday, wedding anniversaries today, just celebrating life. Yes, from all of us here on Sabrina Speaks, definitely want to send you all our love. And just an update as well, since we're going to get into acknowledging all of you who are commenting. I did get a message over to Michelle last night on behalf of Alfred, and they're holding the faith. They're still there holding on. So let you know, I don't know if she's going to surprise us with a call. We don't know, but she's still not on island. And yes, please continue to keep her and her family into our prayers. She's definitely missed. Yes, let's see who's here. Donnie is in the house. Good evening. You're not late today because Reen got you inside. Gotti Bonnie is in the house as well. I know. All of you plant lovers. Oh gosh, it rains and I go further inside. Frogs come out. So y'all stay out there with your flowers. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. You go out, you stay out there with your flowers. They're happy. But I get deeper in the house. Damien Henry is here. Yes. Good evening, all. It's not over when you lose. It's over when you quit. Good. Yeah, I'll remember that one, Damien. Good. Hey, Andrew, how you doing? Everyone's here. Yes, you brute, you. I want to see some pictures of those. Yes. Thank you very much for the feedback. I got different segments. I got different, if you see the flyers as well, guess what? That's all me. All the promotional flyers for these, I'm doing all of those as well behind the scenes. And so it is constant building, constantly improving on all that this new role in my life is pretty much consuming me, from content creation to researching to producing a full-fledged program to hold you all for 2 hours and also create some bandwidth for breaking news. Remember, the vision for this space is that we will one day very soon also be on radio. And my position in Q is 5 to 7. So when you see certain things evolving, it's preparing for the next chapter. So this space is what it is. It's a virtual podcast space, but we will also be on radio as well eventually. So as we continue to build, why not improve myself, invest in myself, open myself up to learning new things. And I'm going to tell you, it's sometimes overwhelming, but I know for where I see us going, I cannot lose at 52. And I will encourage you to just open up, embrace it, take it one step at a time, and whatever field you're in, try to update yourself on the latest advancement in digital stuff so that you're not left behind. Because I tell you, even now that I'm still in the learning phase, I get a little frustrated sometimes because I can't get it quicker, or I make a mistake, or, you know, at that age of 50 something, you get brain fog and you forget and you're like, what did I do then? It's a bit frustrating, but look, I'm not going to give up because I see the fruits of what I've been able to do here in such a short time. And I have to motivate myself. But when I see it all come together and I replay it, I critique myself. I'm my worst. Oh gosh, I'm really hard on myself. But I constantly want to elevate my game, but I'm excited as I don't know what to tell you when I can do these graphics now to help myself and to just be able to deliver them. And here we are today. But it's good to be back with you. Hey, Sonia. Sonia's in the house. Yes. Thank you. Open Mic Friday, we get some information and we're going to definitely share it with you, and that's tomorrow. So anything that's on your mind, you want to spark, I've been getting some information on a story that I'm working on, so I'll share a little bit of that with you tomorrow. That's the open mic section, so we want to make sure you tune in for tomorrow, whatever's on your mind. But you know how we do it here as well. We make sure that if at any time we're discussing a matter and you want to call in and it may be something unrelated, but you actually want to get it off your chest, something we can expand on. It's amazing how welcoming, embracing this space is. We welcome you. Don't feel any way. Just be respectful, even with your comments and your calls. And as we continue to teach and learn and educate right here in this space, I needed to share this with you that I know local government scholarships. I need to bring this to your awareness. The deadlines for these applications are the 30th of April. So you go on to the Ministry of Education's website, Education and Training website, and you can apply. So I want you all to make sure that if you have a child or children who may be interested in local government scholarships for creating higher education and opportunities for locals, there you have it. You can go onto the government website. And if you want to apply, please note that the deadline is April 30th. So go ahead, go get as much information as you can right now on this so that when it's time for you to file your official application, that you definitely have the supporting documents and you know exactly what to do. Other public service announcement is that the Department of Education Services as well will be closed tomorrow to facilitate a staff function. So normal business hours will resume back on Monday, the 16th of March, and the department apologizes for any inconvenience this closure may cause. So just know that if you got any businesses going on at the Department of Education Services, please note that they will be closed tomorrow. They won't be open at all. So if you didn't get it done today, you got to push that back push it forward actually to Monday when they will reopen. And that's for those who need to get the scholarships. Yeah. So there you have it. Public service announcement. We share it here with you. For those of you just joining us, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Yes, this evening we're going to be breaking down things that shape our society. Try to do it as we always do it here, plain, simple, straight to the point, as layman as we can be. And of course, you're welcome to join in. And if you missed the flyer, you didn't see the intro, it's talking about parliamentary privileges. Yes, to some, it sounds fancy, but it's also powerful. Yes, it is, but it's also misunderstood. It's also misused and sometimes even abused. So I'm hoping this evening in this episode that you will join me, stick with me, comment as well, give us your opinions as we unpack what parliament privileges really and actually mean, what the Cayman Islands Constitution as well and standing orders say about it, why it exists in the first place, and how members of parliament can misuse it, and really how reckless use of the privilege can damage one's reputation, pretty much destabilizes society, and even spark civil unrest, if that is misuse. Now, please, ladies and gentlemen, this is not about personalities. It's just about principle, power, and public accountability. So yes, it's good to have you all join me here today. And hey, Michelle, how you doing? Good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome to you. Oh, you guys saying, okay, there you go. So I got to share that with you. Iva Hart, how you doing? No, it's good old Milo time. That weather is good for it for sure. You something else. Hope you're doing well. Always good to see you, and even more happy to know that you make me know you're there. Where's Jimbo this evening? Allergies are killing him. And Marshall is late to class too. Got to check on my students. You know, I know y'all. Hey, Carol, how you doing? Good to have you in the house. Yep, and Petula as well. Now let's get into it and talk a little bit. Let's get into the basics so you understand what's happening and what it means. You can recall, and I think Sandra shared one of her shows the other morning that highlighted something that was said on the floor of Parliament in this last sitting, that a member of Parliament got up and stated that there was a cluster of a sexually transmitted, or there was allegations of someone who may have been involved in some activities, that there could have been a cluster of sexual transmitted disease in one of her districts. Well, there are just certain things that is being said, and after that was said, it prompted an investigation that put public health, HSA, and the Minister of Health on high alert, and they had to go to fact find these things. However, you know how the news go in a small island jurisdiction. That was a flare up in the public's domain for, if I'm not mistaken, over the holidays or just shortly in the new year, that was actually rumored. But of course, nothing came about it. It died until this fourth sitting of the 2025-2026 sitting of Parliament, when a member of Parliament got up and brought it topical again. Now, even if it was an example in order to bring home a specific point of the importance of public health, tying it then into the importance of, let's say, public health surveillance, if there's anything having to do with the immigration law. I don't know what the true context of it was, but the emphasis was on the fact that it was alleged of all of these things. And after it was said, investigations by the relevant government authorities yielded no truth. They couldn't find it out to be truthful based on what they saw on their records. After their surveillance, it was deemed to be untrue. That sparked this whole thing of parliamentary privileges. And the only reason why I use that as an example, because it's so relevant. There have been other situations and other issues of things and utterance being said whilst members of Parliament is sitting on the floor of Parliament, that there is sometimes no truth. It's to make mischief. And it actually has caused some serious damage. People have lost their relationships. It has impacted marriages. It has impacted businesses' reputation. It has impacted people's reputation. And you're like, what's the recourse? Because they're protected by what is parliamentary privileges, okay? So I thought it was important for me to highlight this, to bring this to your awareness that as members of civil society, you would hope that there are certain things that are said by our elected members of Parliament, knowing the fact that there's someone there to represent us, the power in itself of their role, the platform that they have is powerful. And whatever they say not only goes down in the Hansards as record for life, but then really and truly It's an open place where they're protected under certain privileges. So what it is, parliamentary privileges, in layman's terms, it really is a legal protection that allows members of parliament to speak freely during parliamentary proceedings. And that speaking of freely is without fear of being sued for defamation. Or even prosecuted for what they say. And really and truly, inside Parliament, this is a fact. Members of Parliament can say things that would get the rest of us dragged into court. And you may say, well, how they can say it, and what do you mean? Why? Because that is how the system is designed. It's open debate. It's transparency. Kind of takes on a different meaning now, huh? It's the ability to challenge government's actions. Listen to that. And the freedom to raise issues without intimidation. It's meant really to protect and not to protect egos. The whole idea behind it is to protect democracy. But sometimes they flirt with their egos. And because of this protection and speaking freely, not within the confines, let's say, of bills, national policy, or strategy, which is why I did that disclaimer before. Now, if this was brought up to align, and I stand to be corrected, with a policy, immigration, or something, then fine. I only use that as an example because it's relevant. But I need you to be alert that when certain other things have said, maybe in the next sitting, maybe something may have sparked something in you from previous sittings, and you're like, holy crap, how could they say that and not get in trouble? You know what that caused that business? You know what headache that caused that family? And you're saying that in your mind, and like, why? That's why. Because members of parliament are protected under parliamentary privileges. Yes. And in the Constitution, it actually has it. In the Constitution order, it outlines that the Parliament has the power to regulate its own proceedings, and that members have certain immunities when participating in those proceedings, as long as you can tie it to whatever is being debated. But you know how that goes. Once you can get very creative and be very slick and smart, you can get away with saying some things. And you know, Cayman, we're a small jurisdiction. All you got to do is connect the dots, and pretty much you got most of the times of what and who they've been talking about. Yeah. But in this case, under the Constitution order, it doesn't mean, or it doesn't give the members of parliament a blank check. Okay? It gives them, yes, the freedom to propose public service or services, and not designed for personal attacks. But how do you know how crafty persons can be, or how it can be crafted to not appear as though it's a personal attack, but yet it's already out? The fundamentals and the foundation of our Constitution actually gives them the freedom for the purpose of public service. That is the freedom it gives them, but not for personal attacks. And when a member of parliament rises to their feet in open debates, not everything is going to be given. It's not a speech, it's not a statement or nothing like that. if you're going to make a statement, it has to go through the Speaker of the House, and then they review it. And in that review process, they have to make sure that there are no personal attacks or things that could be said that is really outside standing orders. But the Constitution in itself, sometimes when you get all in your emotions and all that sort of stuff, you don't know what's going to be said. And it's up to the Speaker of the House then, who's the referee, to really, really pull them up or said that needs, please retract that in accordance to standing order, whatever that is. Yeah, they have the right to do that. But there is nothing in there sometimes that they say that personally, if you take offense of it, you could sue them. Because they're protected under parliamentary privileges. I say that because that's another characteristic that you look for in a person who's representing you. Remember now, they're all elected. Horse down through the gate. But if you put yourself in the position of having that noble cause to serve the people, how reckless would you be knowing you're protected by this? It speaks a lot about the persons, and it also is a reflection of sometimes the constituency that they represent. It could actually boil down to that. Remember, when members of parliament go to parliament, they're a representative of the people. So yes, you can say, well, I didn't vote for that one. I didn't vote for this one. At the end of the day, they're representing our country. Opposition, government, all one people. And these are some of the powers that they get. These are some of the privileges that are actually covering them. How they use those privileges represents you, represent us, but more so the underbelly is themselves. Because you have entrusted them to conduct themselves at a certain standard. You wouldn't expect them to do anything out of grudge, to try and blaspheme anyone or try to harm anyone with the power of the tongue, and worse, be a word salad of lies that could have serious impact on lives, society, the country as a whole, and reputational damage sometimes that is irreversible. Because once that seed is planted because of things that has been said, it's hard to rebound from it, especially in small island jurisdictions. And what standing orders actually says going into that, that's pretty much the Constitution. The standing orders actually says, which is the rule book, it says how debates must be conducted, and we've covered this already, but for emphasis on parliamentary privileges. And I told you all, there are going to be times some things are going to be repetitive, but now that we can hook it to a specific topic, it's all making sense. I told you all, eventually this will all make sense. I just need Honor to put up with me, because at the end of the day, it will all make sense. So standing orders, which is the parliamentary's rule book, and the referee is who? The Speaker of the House. The standing orders really outlines how debates must be conducted. It also outlines what language is allowed. Like, you can't go in there and use them 5-pound words, as we would call it, or, obscene language, profanity, that sort of stuff, even though you come close. Oh God, you come close. Literally, you can see smoke sometimes coming from your ears, but yeah, there's what language is allowed is covered in the standing orders. What counts as unparliamentary conduct is also outlined, and sometimes you can define what that is. There's just certain decorum and stuff that you're supposed to actually carry yourself, and how members must behave towards each other and the public is all covered in standing orders. The standing orders actually make it clear that the privilege is not, and I will stress on that, privilege is not permission to lie, slander, or weaponize the chamber. But as we know, some people treat that privilege like a shield to hide behind, and they'll just give a little nudge. Okay? So it's clear in there. I have heard from more senior, seasoned persons past as well that there's no steeple on the Parliament. That's no lie. There is no steeple. But does it mean you should lie? Does it mean that you should script a story in your debate that could actually ruin someone's reputation, shut their business down, cast a shadow of a doubt that could probably block somebody from making a living or getting a decent job for the rest of their lives because of the power of coming out of the mouths of someone holding high office in your country? Yeah. There should be some line in the sand where conduct is concerned. And these are all the things, the characteristics that you need to look out for, because certain conversations that are being had, certain lines that are being used on the floor of Parliament would actually fall outside all of these rules. But many a times they get away with it because, one, you don't identify it. And then you say, well, we're not the referees. We would expect better. Sometimes it's such a thin line between them breaking the law, being called out by the speaker, which we have seen in his most diplomatic way. He have actually kind of hinted at some of the members of Parliament that, correct, don't do that. Or like when you're debating on a motion, you're not supposed to speak directly to the minister or to that member of Parliament. When you speak directly to the speaker. And sometimes you may hear them shouting across the aisle or doing this. No, that's not right. That's not parliamentary. But it happens. Remember, we're a small society, and it's hard to detach human from standing order and decorum, because at the end of the day, we all shop at the same grocery stores. We go sometimes to the same churches. Our kids actually are friends when we in our adult capacity may not see eye to eye on certain things. We all live in this space, and at some point in time, we all going to rub shoulders together. So it is quite easy to become and forget the basics. But that's why the referee is there, to call order, to says, speak to me. Because it's very easy, especially if the debate is very emotive and you're hearing, let's say, the government saying something or standing up firm, justifying their reasons for why something should become law. And then, let's say, opposition is against it and they come after. You can't go personal. You can't go personal. And that is all a part of decorum. So it's those things that even when you are under the most pressure, you have to swallow it. You literally have to bottle it up and maintain a certain decorum. And for God's sake, try to speak the truth. That will set you free. It will set you free. Now, I'll also go into a little bit of how they can abuse it. Yes, how they can abuse it. But Miss Dorothy, hi, it's good to have you here. Mr. George, oh, good to have you. Thank you for watching. It's always good to impart our knowledge. But of course, you're welcome to weigh in on this topic as well. And feel free to call. The phone lines are open. 345-936, this is bothering me, 936-8255 is the number. Hey, Darlene, how you doing? Maybe they can't help themselves. It's a disease, no cure. For what, lying? Well, you know what to do. You know what to do. Just continuing on. We'll talk about the elephant now in the room, just for context. Because while parliament privileges, right, is meant to, the foundation of it, to protect our democracy, we admit it can be misused. And I kind of went through that a little bit with you just now. But attack private citizens, that's a misuse. Similar political opponents or smear political opponents, you can't do that. You can't do that. And in this case, the misuse, guess what falls under that as well? Leak of unverified allegations. You heard what I said. Leak of unverified allegations. And also, it's not a place to settle personal scores. And the parliament is not a place to even create sensational headlines because you want to be relevant. You know, when the media picks up on something, they call you, they want to hear more on it. Yeah. And then you get in the spotlight. Yeah. Parliamentary privileges is meant to protect democracy. But those are some of the misuses. Exactly. You cannot use it or misuse under those areas. And when a member of parliament abuses privileges, they can honestly do some serious damage because the public often assumes that if something is said in parliament, guess what? It must be true. And this is why the individuals that have that platform, have that space, have that power for what they say, their demeanor, their posture, even what they say is powerful. But that's not how privileges works. And when you see many of these abuses actually happening in our Commonwealth countries as a British Overseas Territory citizen, we can go back and reflect on the naming of private citizens who, you know, at the end of the day, have no platform to defend themselves outside of taking them to court. And guess what? If it is done in Parliament, you're wasting money to a degree. And it's reckless. Some may actually go on various platforms, understanding how powerful these spaces are, and they can really wreak havoc to the point that it's already across the world for anybody to subscribe. Then what? And then the allegations without any evidence, once you tweak that story, which is why we're all getting mixed up now with this fake news, this and fake news, that it is really serious understanding the parliamentary privilege and what its protection is. So we don't want people to really misunderstand that it's a free pass, yes, but I need you to also be able to identify when it's being abused. And there's always something behind it, but I need you all to get up to the point where you can actually identify some of these things and you have the right to question why. I know it is normally our culture that you're like, time longer than rope. That is what they've been doing, or, you know, we'll just deal with it some other how. Yeah. But sometimes you need to confront them to let them know we see what you're doing. I respect you. I respect your role. Stop it. Stop it. I expect better from you. I think many a times they would appreciate that much more because at the end of the day, they know how valuable that number 1X is on a ballot. And there's just certain things, yes, that you have to be very passionate about defending, but we're talking about malicious, unverified information being shared. Unverified information being shared. And then they get away with murder. Bloody murder is what you call it. Yeah. So that is a big requirement and a huge responsibility where accountability, again, the word accountability is coming up. Accountability is imperative. And maturity as well. Because at the end of the day, you're there to do the work of the people based on the bills, regulations, motions, to improve, hopefully, the lives of those who have elected them to serve. But when there's a possibility that you have to question nearly everything coming out of some of their mouths, that then brings a bigger cause for concern. I will repeat, I only used the analogy of the cluster of sexual transmitted disease outbreak as an example because it was so relevant and the resources that it took in order to put it in the public's domain to officially dispel or to declare what was the findings. That is another hint that better PR could have been done when it actually blew up into the public space. Because I'm quite sure here in the Cayman Islands, at some point, a lot of people would have heard that issue, that story. It would have been in public health's best interest if they hadn't done it then to have done it. Maybe it would not have ended up on the floor of Parliament. Exactly. Now, the minister had to take time out of her schedule when she could have been doing other things, to actually go and make her ministry now research this and go to public health and Kim and Brack. Yes, it also gives an opportunity as well for a certain public testing to actually have undergo as well. But what I'm saying is, let's get ahead of some of these narratives so things like this don't necessarily make it on the floor of Parliament. And I am hoping that at the end of the day, even if, let's say, something like this was to come up again, it would be handled in a more respectful manner. And I want my colleagues, former friends, to really understand their role. Some may say, well, who she thinks she is? She only did 1 term. I tell you what, if I had gotten 2 terms, you couldn't stop me. Because where decorum is concerned, I knew what that was. I know what it is. But there have been some that have had multiple times, multiple opportunities. It's a joke. How do you feel about that? Because in the real world, the consequences is real. And the fallout could be devastating. Yeah, because when these privileges are actually abused, the damage doesn't just stay in the chamber. It spills into our streets, workplace, and homes and businesses. Because you know how it goes. You hear this one with him, this one with her. Oh my God, such a good wife, such a good husband. Look at there. You know how it goes. You all know what I'm talking about. You all know exactly what I'm talking about. Darlene says, personality disorder. Mr. Fullerton is saying debates must be of good qualities. Yes, it should be. It should be well thought out, well researched, and in your debates, whatever the motion that is tabled on the floor of Parliament, it should not, or it's not allowed to go outside what that motion entails. But sometimes we will, under our breath, but yet it's picked up. And it's actually causing a problem. So the damage to reputation is that, in actual fact, an MP can destroy a person's name in 30 seconds, if not less. And guess what? That person then may spend 35 years trying to rebuild it. If it is a reputational, personal reputational damage that is being done. Yeah. And the impact that it can have on, let's say, somebody's business. A careless allegation on somebody's business can actually tank the company's revenue. It can scare away investors, customers when they just decide to not go. It could even cause banks to freeze accounts. Or worse yet, collapse a small business overnight. Yes, that's the business side of things. And under the big auspices of this conversation is that it doesn't have to be true. This is what damage it can cause. Even if the allegations is false, that can be the damage. Now think of this one. Remember, somebody said yesterday or day before yesterday when we were talking, what if we didn't want some of these amendments? How could the public actually say, stop, let's rewind this, let's do. The question came up here on the forum, on the platform. I says, well, saved by people going out there and getting on the front steps of Parliament and say, stop this now, and definitely get their attention. What are you going to do? Remember? That goes into even more emotive reactions of civil unrest. We have heard Mr. Balika over and over again saying how much times decisions can be made or statements can be made in laws or speaking before something even goes through cabinet to approve, how it could actually cause the downfall of an elected government. It's no different when it comes to parliamentary privileges and just being reckless based on your power because of your very nature of you being a member of Parliament. And when members of Parliament use their privilege to inflame tensions, for example, they got the undercurrents, they got the supporters that would do anything for them. Yeah. Also, vehicles to spread misinformation or target groups. That in itself can divide communities. That can create hostility in an environment. And it can be an aid, an accelerant that could actually fuel protests and also destabilize public trust. Some may say that's not who we are. Oh no, but I can remember the days when this one walked from the glass house those days to the front steps of the then Legislative Assembly. We can't say it has not happened here before. Now, has time changed? I don't know. The last big outcry that I heard that I knew of was when it was the vaccination? That was my time. Yeah, but still, with what we're seeing happening now, and even then, it's like, this is not by any means saying this is what we're going to be because we are this society, we are that society. I'm just highlighting the power of a member of Parliament's title, the power that they have, the responsibility that they have, not only for themselves, for their country, and definitely remember now with single member constituencies, You represent everyone. Whether or not you have worked out the percentage of how much you need based on the total registered number of persons that are vote in your area, and you can work out, oh, well, that percentage, if I get 300 votes there, 600 votes there, 120 votes, I good. I just need to keep those amounts happy. Who cares about the rest? If I got 600 under my belt, 300 under my belt, I good. It doesn't matter. When you are finally elected, everything that you say has consequences. And yes, you have parliamentary privileges, but it stretches far beyond an individual. It could impact society, it could impact business, and it can ruin and destroy even marriages. Yes. Children going to school. And this is why I brought it up here. This space is powerful. There's a huge responsibility for podcasters. And this is why I will never take advantage of this space. Because I know the good it can do, but I know the dark side of it as well. I see it every day. Yes. And for you to have that type of respect from the community, it says a lot is in your fiber, your very own being, your very own existence. It speaks a lot to you as an individual. Darlene says, our children in schools give better, sensible debates in our parliament. Did you watch it? Yeah, I've always admired them. I volunteered my time the last time I was there, and it was good interacting with those kids. And it's amazing how they actually handle themselves, how they actually commit their time, and what they produce at the end of the day. And congratulations to all of them who are part or sign up to be a part of Youth Parliament. Thank you to Ms. Zena and the crew as well for actually doing that. It's every Saturday. And kudos to the parents as well who actually make the sacrifice on Saturdays to take their kids, help with research as well, because these are real debates that they actually get tools. And thanks to the ministers and elected members of government who take the time out to really sit with these leaders of tomorrow when they actually want to interview you or to get information from you to really hear really how it really works behind the scenes. So I want to thank all the staff at the Parliament who makes this possible, who give of their time, and to all of the aspiring leaders of tomorrow who are a part of the Youth Parliament. Good for you. Congratulations to you. And I'm hoping now as this school comes to a close, that we'll have other interested children or young men and women interested. And this actually, that, Darlene, comprises of all schools who want to take part based on the age group. So it's not only government schools that are participating, it's also some schools or private schools. And if you see how those kids actually put together, they formulate, and some of them even go away to represent us. So congratulations to them all. Now, we said about the damage that it could do to families as well. I don't want us to take sight off of that. Bearing in mind, again, talking about the children and the impacts it can have on personal and family harm. Because when someone's name is dragged in to Parliament, it takes on a different identity altogether. Because then that name, that story is written in the history books of Parliament forever. What will happen? Those children could end up suffering. Their spouses as well. And also mental health suffers. Yeah. And even their safety can be threatened because of this. Words spoken under privilege can echo for generations, and I think I need to repeat that. Words spoken under privilege can echo for generations. Yes. And you don't want that to be the case because you decided to be reckless. You decided to dilute the meaning of accountability. You decide to put ego over just humility. I need us to be aware of this, but more so for you members of civil society, to be aware of these things so that when certain things are being played out on the floor, you don't think that there is not legislation enshrined that could rein this in, because there is. There's the standing orders, there's the Constitution, and there's the responsibility and the remit of the Speaker of the House. But most importantly, it's the responsibility of every elected member of Parliament to hold themselves accountable and conduct themselves in a certain manner. Yes. When they're there and when they're sworn in, they're sworn to serve the people, not thyself. And this is a very important time for me to share this with you, because you may not have known that certain things are actually covered in the Constitution and the standing orders. But what a lot of you didn't realize is how far-reaching those parliamentary privileges can be, and why, because of your unawareness, is why they get away with certain things. You see, once they leave the confines of that parliament building, tell them open their mouth. Yeah. That only extends within the confines of that parliament. And spoken outside those gates, outside those doors, they can be held liable. Yeah, I just wanted you to know that. Mr. Fullerton says, it's good that they are allowed to participate and gather for officials to have shown them how it is done. Such knowledge to not argue without practical participation. I see some great parliamentarians in the future. Yes. I must say, great lineup of students for years. Venice says, my life motto is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Thank you, Venice, for saying that. But you see, at the end of the day, my love, they can do it because they are protected under parliamentary privileges. But what they don't understand, if they do not get re-elected, guess what? It's the same people that you're tearing down directly or indirectly. Once that ballot is counted and those numbers are coming, you revert back to a regular member of society. You're going to be out there looking for a job. And you think this society is forgiving. Think again. Think again. So I agree with what you say, but some have a very short memory, one, or two, they always see themselves being reelected so I can do as I want. They can reelect me anyhow. Who cares? Yeah. But I thought it was important for me to bring this to your attention so that when certain behaviors actually happen, you, one, can identify it. I have repeated this over here to Mr. Balika when he brings out certain things. Sir, you ask the questions, but what if we can't identify them? How are we going to correct them? How are we going to know that something is wrong? How are we going to know that someone is acting outside what really is the definition of how one should conduct themselves? If we don't know it, if we can't identify it, how are we going to know it? And that's why I brought it up. So this do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Some don't have a moral compass once they're elected. Some don't really care because they see themselves for years as being elected. And you can see what's happening right now. They make all these promises. This is what I'm going to do. And At the end of the day, it's like a different person after one's elected. But this decorum, this parliamentary privileges, speaks a lot about what you individually should be looking for in the character, behavior, conduct, characteristics of the person that is serving you or is asking you for your support. And we have a right to demand responsibility use. We have the right because privilege in itself is power. And power without responsibility, hey, that's danger. You heard what I said? Power without responsibility is dangerous. I need you to realize that. And members of parliament should find themselves or hold themselves to know that they must use this privilege for public good. Avoid naming private citizens, for example, unless absolutely necessary. And also, if you're going to make an allegation, present evidence. Don't glorify bold and italic rumors. And follow standing orders. And another thing, please remember that their words carry some serious weight. And this is why this anchor is so important. Power without responsibility is dangerous. And most importantly, the public must also understand that the privilege that they have in their hands as people of civil society, everyday citizens, you have privilege too, because you have the responsibility and the privilege to hold MPs accountable. You actually have the right to recognize when those privileges are even being abused. And I'm hoping that today, this narrative, as boring for some as it may be, that you will be able to identify in the future when it's being abused. And also demand and expect higher standards. Because democracy is not a spectator sport, bottom line. And we have a responsibility because all of us, every single one of us has a role to play. And I'm hoping that when you recap all of these things and you see certain things, you don't allow yourself to be shrouded in anger or disappointment or say it, well, it don't make no sense. Good come I could get it, bad come I could get it. No. With these tools, with this space and opening up what was always there, but breaking it down into layman's terms, I'm hoping you now can appreciate even more that you shouldn't get angry with yourselves. Be thankful that you're actually taking the time to either view this, understand it, put it into perspective at your own pace so that you're better equipped and armed for the next chapter. Because as long as we remain or decide to just stay in the shadows and fall for whatever is being spewed, let's say, during a campaign or one-on-one conversations that just happens during a particular season, but after that, it's dead silence. Yeah. At the end of the day, you're in a better position right now to identify. But we all have to be realistic, bringing it back to the parliamentary privileges. We talked about the committee stage amendments yesterday and exactly what that section means and how important that is. And now today we talk about the parliamentary privileges, how it can ruin children's future, how it can impact your mental health, how it can create civil unrest, how it can actually impact your ability to earn bread, how it can close your business down. That's powerful. That's power. And it doesn't take the faint at heart, we know, to run for political office. It takes a special soul. It takes a special kind. But it's an equal balance as well in one's character, personality, and their ability to work best under pressure, but also the expectation that comes with that role and the decorum that is required. And that is a responsibility on both parts. We all have a right to whoever you're putting out there, the personality that you're putting out there on display, to convince someone to support you in your run for political office. Think about all of these things. Think about what we have discussed, even in the Constitution, but more so, think about this very important tool, this very important privilege that one has, that if goes unchecked with their ego, the long-term, sometimes irreversible damage that it could have on a person or business or society. Andrew says, true. It is like driving a powerful car that you have been given to drive, but you have passengers that you have to take safely. You are not driving for yourself. Every decision you make is not for yourself. Correct, Andrew. Beautiful analogy. Beautiful, beautiful analogy. It's like driving a powerful car that you have been given to drive, but you have passengers, which is every one of you voters, that you have to take safely. You are not driving for yourself. Every decision in this case you make is not for yourself. Well said, Andrew. And it is so true. It is very, very true. And this is why when we look back now at where we're coming from, where we are, and what we hope to be, you are given the tools based on the level of discussion, based on the presentations that we present here, in all honesty, to improve our future trajectory. But that depends on what goods is on the shelf that's making themselves available to be bought. In this case, not physically bought. Who put themselves there? Yes. And this is by no way advocating change or whatever. I'm just highlighting the obvious of parliamentary privileges. So with all due respect, no small-mindedness here about we're on this campaign to do anything. No, please don't miss the forest for the trees. I told you all that there are going to be times, there are going to be emotive conversations that are ensued. And it all depends on your level of intellect, your maturity, and how thick your skin is to not take these conversations or these presentations out of context. And should you even go down that path, it speaks more about you than the topic at hand. We're just being very candid, sharing sound information on the topic of parliamentary privileges that can be found in the Constitution and in the standing orders. And I'm only bringing context for the matter of civic education, civic knowledge, and to impart that to every citizen who wants to subscribe and take advantage of it. And for those of you who appreciate the presentation, it is my honor. But that is why we live in a society that we have to respect each other's opinions. But the trajectory that the family of Sabrina Speaks is on, we will not stop educating one another We will not stop letting you know what is there. Sometimes we all needed a nudge because it was always there. But who had taken the time to really just break it all down and deliver it? Yeah. And I thank you all for your feedback as well with the suggestions and topics and ideas and all that sort of stuff as we continue to build here. Appreciate it. And we will get to them. We will get to them. But since Parliament has now concluded and we have some dates, thank God, looking forward to what months. In between that time, I'm quite sure if there are any other amendments or bills or that sort of stuff that is coming up, we will also bring them here. So I don't want one to feel that it would always be everything is Parliament, sound like she's coming after the government. No. If you look at what we're talking about procedures, how government runs, and all of this sort of stuff. And thank you for all of you persons in the civil service who actually speak to me and thank me for educating, because a lot of you were not really aware of all of the processes. And thank you. And I'm not here to make anybody feel bad, because every day I learn something myself as I have to research and prepare and deliver. Remember, eventually we're going to be drive time. So there's a lot more elements to this 2-hour podcast that we will share with you. And this is why it's important that I maintain the space where I include you. And this is why your feedback is so important. Yes, your participation, your feedback is very important. But I had to bring this as I kind of close this part of Parliament down, because Parliament has now ended. And then we'll get on to some more hard-hitting, well, not hard-hitting topics, but other topics, not necessarily political in nature, but still, of course, steered by you. And, but because that was so relevant and it made headlines, I felt it was very important for me to cover that part. Just look at that element in itself so that when the next time it comes, you would understand and appreciate when it goes into committee stage amendments, when it goes into the parliamentary privileges and how they actually behave when they conduct themselves and given their inputs and debating items on the floor of Parliament, that you are now able to understand it and maybe who to tell, because you're so into, I wonder if I'm going to catch that one into a breach. I wonder if that, who to tell? Maybe, let's hope. Alfred, how you doing? Late to class this evening? Good evening. Late to class today. What are we talking about today? We're talking about parliamentary privileges and the power of that and the damage it could have to reputations, the impact it can have on business, the possibility of even causing civil unrest. And when things are being said, or statements are being made on the floor of Parliament, how far-reaching it can be and sometimes irreversible. So yeah, you're late. You'd have to scroll back. But it's good to have you here. And for the record, I did pass your message on to Michelma. I told her about your invite as well. So we will see. But it's good to have you here. So yes, that is where we are with that. And I am hoping that as time goes by, remember yesterday I told you all that there were some amendments, a lot of amendments made to a couple of the motions and bills that were put forward. I'm seeing now where in the coming days now, there will be, I guess, snippets, PR on these changes. And for those who didn't have any amendments at committee stage, we will see those results come out in the public's domain much quicker than those who had multiple amendments. But I'm hopeful that at some point in time, the information will be out there. And what is most important is actually the commencement of a lot of these, which is what a lot of you are waiting on. Big talk that is still in the public's domain is the commencement for the immigration. But bigger talk is, when is the public going to be able to see the immigration regulations, which is the operational arm that makes the law, gives the actual substantive law the ability to move forward. And public is still asking for that. Now, if it's out there, I mean, I have been doing multiple projects for the past 2 weeks. So if I have missed something, I'm going to go and research it to see if it's something I'm missing. But if it's not out there, fine, we're still waiting on it. And once it becomes available, I will definitely share it with you as well. So I want you to all understand that this is a huge responsibility on our members of parliament. And just like members of society, there's a certain decorum that is expected of you as well as persons who are registered to vote. And the responsibility on that part of it is really the biggest of all, because some do it jokingly. I ain't voting unless they can do this for me, unless they can do that for me. That's where we erode the entire process. And this is why certain things that used to happen back in the day continue to happen, but it's not yielding better results. So we can say that our parliamentarians have a certain decorum based on standing orders, based on constitution, but under the law, there's a bigger responsibility, personal responsibility that should be on each person who have that privilege, who have that right once they subscribe to have the right to vote. Your expectations shouldn't be based on a price tag for how much money you can get during that time or what you can get out of a person that is actually running, because that is why we continue to spiral into a direction that is not really what we want, what we subscribe to. And what do you expect? Somebody got to pay for it at the end of the day. Oh, yeah. So if the demands within voters are so astronomical, and it is the desire of an individual to get elected, they are going to give you what you've asked for. But at the end of the day, 99% of the time, that's not their funds. So what do you want? What do you want? The bigger responsibility, or the biggest responsibility, is on everyone who has the right to vote, and what your expectations are for your vote. And if you're going to sell it, you have just allowed yourself to be sold. If you have a moral compass, if you have any scruples about yourselves, that wouldn't be a requirement. It shouldn't. It wouldn't. And I'm hoping that eventually that will become a thing of the past, bearing in mind that we all have issues. We all fall in some lows at some point in time in our lives. But if it's just so happened to be around an election time and they're willing to roll out the red carpet for you for whatever you ask, or without even asking, it is given, take what you get. Because after it's all the sun goes down, it's all signed, dusted, sealed, you got put up with that for the next 4 years. And they don't have to visit your door one day after that. You know what? You asked, you got, that deal is done. I'm in. I don't have to visit you again until we getting ready to renew that contract. It's an illegal contract, but that's how cheap you have made yourselves. And then the audacity to say, well, I didn't see them, whatever. You don't have to see them. You don't have to. They don't have to darken their foot in your yard again. Because you asked, you received, they paid. It's a contractual agreement. So I'm really hoping that at the end of the day, as we continue to mature in this space, as we continue to lift up each other, support each other, educate each other, and this isn't only limited here in the Cayman Islands. This goes way back as well, to the region. Well, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, and I say, well, thanks to Uncle Alfred, at least Somebody must have think something
Oh,
make us think. I feel well I'm gone, but I'm not rotten. But at least I'm not rotten yet. Thank God, but I'm not forgotten.
oh my gosh, you're a highlight. Let me tell you, for the amount of love, for the amount of missing, Michelma, our thoughts and prayers are with you.
Thank
Yes.
God, hopefully, I think by the 28th I'll be back. Things looking good. Thank you for Jesus.
Thank God. Oh my
We
gosh,
had
you're
to
missed.
we had admit him back in hospital on Sunday, but we got him out yesterday and things looking good. He had a little put back, but anyway, he complete his stuff now. But then I still know the woods because when I come now, we're going to do a lot more stuff at it. But anyway, thank God for Jesus. And thank you all for remembering me. I thought about it in long.
Oh no, don't you
But
ever.
anyway, but anyway, thanks, Uncle Alfred. At least somebody love me. And
Oh,
like, I'm gone. I'm not rotten, but thank God I'm not forgotten.
he wants to join in. You call in straight, right?
Well, I call him on WhatsApp, I think.
What's that? Hold on. Let me, Alfred, hang up. Let me
I
see if
call
I
him
can
on
merge it.
your
Let me see if I can merge it. Hang up, because I got to if you're calling straight, Shelly, let me see if I can merge it. Because if you're straight, I'm gonna disconnect you. Let me see what I can do.
But I have for you and it's on my WhatsApp.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Let me add a caller. Hold on. Let's do this right now. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Even Mr. Balika sends his love to you.
I love him too.
Mm-hmm.
I listen. When I hear him at near there, today, the only day I hear him call. When I can listen.
Oh wow.
Because I'll be busy.
Yes.
Because, you have to feed him and you have to feed him. But
there we go. There we go. Let's merge this. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, you're live.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for million for remembering me, Alfred. Uncle Alfred, I'm calling you. Okay.
Miss Shelma, listen, I keep asking about you. I say, well, wait, Miss Shelma, and I hear from Miss Shelma. I miss Miss Shelma. Miss Shelma need to come on. Miss Shelma,
Yeah, we've been up here from November, unfortunately. Didn't expect to stay this long, but things, some stuff. Yeah, we've been here from November 21st because I'd come to my nephew's funeral, but some stuff will occur while we were here. So with my husband, yeah, they had get some tests back and then they had to admit him to Moffat Hospital. So we've been dealing with that from until now. But things looking good. Thank God. God is good. He can move mountains. I pray here at night and like I say, well, whatever, it's in God's hands. So whatever he does, okay. Can't do nothing about that. But anyway, I think we getting there.
Well, we got Connie saying, "Hi, Miss Shelma. We miss you, Mama. Nice hearing from you."
Yeah, it's really nice to hear from Miss Shelma.
Give her about him a love. Yeah, thanks very much.
They're hearing you. They're hearing you.
That was box so they can see me.
Oh, yes. And even Robert Ebanks is saying, "One love, Miss Shelma."
Thank you. One love here too. Or two love something. Okay.
Go no. Alfred's still not finished. He won't talk to you. Go ahead.
Well, I know Michelle got going. She got her things doing. But Michelle, I just want to publicly say, whenever you're ready, come on, Love and Lies.
Yeah.
Let me know, because we want hear you on it. We want you on Love and Lies.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. Take care. I love you, Michelle.
Okay. Love you guys too. Okay.
Right,
Bye-bye.
Sure.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Well, Alfred, you got what you were looking for. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. See, that is the power of this space. So good to hear from Michelle. See, yes. Oh, I am so happy for her. We're looking forward for her coming back home. And like I told you, one thing with us here, Jim, and I see Jim, I called him to find out what's going on, even though he may not comment, but I'm going to call him. That's how it is in this space. I literally reach out to people because if I don't see them, Aliano too, I wonder if he gone home. It's like something that's automatic. I'm so accustomed to certain people, but yeah, our thoughts and prayers are with you always, Miss Shelma. Thank you so much for calling in. Yes. Even Miss Carol. Carol Don Smith says, happy to hear my friend, sending you lots of love, Michelle Ma. Connie says, take care. Oh my gosh. There we go. That was a pleasant surprise. I got the goosebumps too. I'll give you an update on Jimbo a little later if he doesn't do it himself at the end of the show. Yes. But we got to check Jimbo. He's really having a hard time with his allergies. So we're going to check on Jimbo. Andrew says here, would it be right to say that anyone elected and gave a mandate to the people under their manifesto is bounded by contractual agreement to the electorate that they serve? You gave an oath and promise. You are married under contract. Anything not followed is a breach of contract. Well, hold on here right now, Andrew. You see how you said that? That is the power of single member constituency, because at the end of the day, it's a double role. Yes, in a way. Remember, you have 19 constituencies. You're not only campaigning on a local level, a constituency level, but if you are a part of a group, a government, a party, it's almost like two different campaigns that you're doing. You campaign with the party, and you're campaigning with the needs of your electoral area as well. If you are a minister upon being elected, you're almost doing three roles, because you have the national mandate, you still got to keep it local and relevant, and you still got to be able to connect to those people who have made it possible for you to be elected. So yes, it is like a contract. Even though they may have campaigned as a party with one unified manifesto, it still have to look at the immediate needs within that specific constituency that gives them a dual responsibility, and in some cases, 3 separate responsibilities. And my dear Andrew, the only one who can hold them accountable for that is for each person in that electoral constituency. Because if it is a case where someone is running with a party, are you then going to be in the position to judge their representation with how they performed within the party's mandate? Or are you going to judge them on what they did for their constituency? Think about that. If you were an independent and you still had to join either an alliance or be a part of the ruling party, whatever, you must have campaigned on certain things in that constituency, which is why when they're asking you for your vote, it shouldn't just be based on their constituencies. It should be based in the event that they get a role in the cabinet that allows them to serve at a national level as a cabinet minister. They may have to go away and represent on national issues, let's say national security, let's say tourism, finance, health, that sort of stuff. Can they hold it down should they be placed? Because you all may hear it's a numbers game. Yes, it is. That is so true. But the decision really lies. Are you going to go for someone who's a part of a party that they're going to be judged on the party's manifesto? Or are you going to look at it from an individual, how that person represented the constituency? Because at the end of the day, I think because single member constituencies is still fairly new, you're not realizing their mandate to the people on the local level. But then they may be a part of a party and they can't get certain things done because they have to prioritize. And then you're judging them for what they couldn't do on the ground when in fact they couldn't do it because they're a part of a constructed party, or maybe not. And this is why real connection with your representative is paramount. And I'm hoping that I can bring perspective to exactly your question, Andrew. How would you judge them if they campaigned as an independent, but ended up with a particular government that is a party, how would you do that? How would you do that? Would you then still give them the grading on what they did from a local level, or a combination of both? Or it doesn't matter to you? And then what if they were always a part of a party, and this is the party's manifesto, but then you're still judging them on what they say, on what they told you they could do for you on the constituency level, but they can't get it done because that's just not how it's playing out. Very interesting, but we can definitely bring that back up. George says, would this be collective responsibility and responsibility by your constituents that they vote you in as an MP? You see, it's a hybrid almost, Mr. Fullerton, because single member constituencies, a lot of people, unless it's an area, I can call this without anything. Right now, between, I would say Red Bear right now, that is known as a People's Progressive Movement dynamics or makeup, demographic. That's the right word. Straight up. Now, if that is shifting, only time will tell. But the two, I would say straight up, it is what it is. It's really hard to put it because Prospect was new, but still, right now, you could say that, I would say Red Bay right now, where I'm registered to vote, is pretty much PPM. You got to know your people, or you got to have a lot of work to do. And you got to look at the results, look at demographics, look at the age group, but more so, you got to be on the ground to know, and you will never know sometimes. Because one thing I give my people credit for, they're the most polite. And even if they support you, sometimes they won't open their door when you're there knocking at 5 o'clock. Because guess what? They come home from work. They're tired. They don't want to hear no talking in their head. But they support you, you know. Just not a right time. Some of them you will never know. You will never know. And that's the difference in single member constituency. So yes, collective responsibility is one thing. But because of how the construct of single member constituency is, it makes it more personal. You're literally doing two campaigns, and you see it over the campaign. You have these big meetings and all that sort of stuff. Well, you know, I had no meeting in my area. I don't see nobody in this area. Yeah. It's a different dynamic with the single member constituencies. I tell you the truth. Miss Blondie, how you doing, my love? Miss Shelma, may God be with you and your husband through it all. It's good to hear your faith and positive spirit. So encouraging to many. Keep that sweet, positive belief and your laughter. That's so true. Oh, yes. That's true. Thank you, Miss Blondie. Hope you're doing well. Anything for positions and power, Darlene says. But yeah, at the end of the day, the chickens will come home to roost. Andrew, I hope that was able to cover it for you. But you can see the dynamics of how the single member constituencies have actually created somewhat of a hybrid almost of campaigning. And you need some good strategy. And I gotta be straight with you. A lot of times it's really hard to even read them. It's hard to read it. It's really hard to put a gauge on certain areas. You can do all kind of polling. That don't necessarily call it. It's not. Yeah, the pollings, first of all, it's hard to narrow it down without, and I'm not telling you that there are not software out there that you can get it, but even when you got field agents out there, I can have a very, very serious interview, answer every question you ask me, and not one bit of it got to be true. Not one bit of it. And that can skew the outcomes. Yeah. And I think a lot of people got surprised this time. Me? Not really. Nope. Not personally. No. And this is where I'm on the sidelines with some of those polls. I am on the sidelines with them, because you got to know your people. You got to know your people. And but it's quite interesting how it's going to unfold for how it's going to play out the next time around. Miss Lucille, I hope you heard your friend. Yeah, from the UK, Lucille is up with us. Good evening, Sabrina. Blessings to you as always at home. Did you hear Michelle just now, or are you asleep? Which one? Oy, these girls. Yeah, Michelle called in after long overdue, thanks to Alfred for calling her. Alfred, hey, Alfred, I wonder if you realize the power that you have. OMG, we talking about power and parliamentary privileges here? Alfred, you brought out Shelma. You see that? Boy, you powerful. Had the woman calling in from overseas. You see how powerful you are? Darlene says, not tired when canvassing to get elected and re-elected. Well, my love, we'll see it. Miss Blonde, thank you. Enjoy listening to a strong Caymanian woman. Oh, lots of love to you, Miss Blondie. I'm just here doing what I got to do, following the universe and a higher power. Doing it for all of us. Mr. George says, don't like those polls. They can have a kind of a bandwagon. Yeah, it is. Unless we really narrow it down, let's say constituency. Or you actually literally go door to door. And like I said, even then, Mr. George, you don't get the truth. You don't get the truth. Because a lot of our people are so polite. They don't want to tell you, please, my mind is already made up. But because you're there and we got answer you, but our minds are made up. So that's another thing. You can be polite by saying, darling, I thank you for your time, but I've already made up my mind. You could even say that for the person that you support as a test to see how they would respond, because remember, they don't know which way you're going. And you may have already gotten their support, but how they respond to you, they respond like they're not for you. That could show your real side. Hint, hint. Yeah. Darling, thank you, but I've already made up my mind. You don't have to come back here anymore. That response goes either way, let me tell you. You don't have to waste your time because I'm not interested and I'm not going to be voting for you. Or you don't have to waste your time because my money is on you. I got you locked. But it's respectful, yet still protecting your democratic right. No one needs to know. Yeah. And then some are like, look, I'm going to tell you, Sabrina, we're for you. You don't have to worry. Yeah. And you can feel that at the end of the day. But yeah, it is quite hard to read. And this is why in Cayman, it's almost like a pendulum every election cycle. And with single member constituency, in some areas, it's a roller coaster. So we got a hybrid of everything. We got like a kamikaze now going on. Hopefully in some years to come, it will all balance out whether or not. Yes, you're quite right. Yes, my WhatsApp. But it is. I'm hoping that we mature in a sense where we can have conversations without persons taking it personal. Be able to have good constructive dialogue, good constructive criticism, because exactly the space and the role that you're applying for. If you're so hired, that's when you're going to be under scrutiny. And the boxing gloves are off once you're elected. You got to suck it up, Buttercup. Suck it up. As long as, they're not inflicting harm or inciting harm, you are going to be criticized. Suck it up, Buttercup. It comes with the role. And you still got to show up You still got to smile. You still got to be in character. Yes, that's the role that you signed up for, that you persuaded people that you're the better choice. You're the best choice. You're the one to represent them. But it does come with bells, whistles, and sounding alarm. That's the nature of the game. Miss Lucia say I dozed off. I did not hear her, but I don't leave her out to be there with her. Oh, okay. Yeah, she did call in and she spoke with us for a little bit, Miss Lucille. So maybe a little later you can scroll back. Yes, WhatsApp says, but political vindictiveness is real, and some voters are very afraid of telling certain people in power or political potential power that they are not supported. Yeah, that is real. And again, another disadvantage, unfortunately, of a small island development state like the Cayman Islands, because everybody knows everybody. The pool is only so big. If you're running or owning a business and you need possible government contracts, which helps out, yeah, it could be detrimental. So I can see that perspective, WhatsApper. I can see that. Definitely, for sure, I can see that. So yeah, but at the end of the day, you must remember you have a democratic right, and you are not at liberty to share unless you so desire which party, if it's a party, which candidate, if it's an independent or otherwise, that you lend your support. Some people don't care. They will go out there where they'll have all of the trinkets and paraphernalia to give their branding, at least you know who they are. And then there are others who, they be like a sniper. They just be like a harbor shark. You have no clue. And you got to respect their right. That's their right. You got to respect their stance. And I'm not going to fault them for that. But it does make the canvassing harder. It does, as a candidate, make your job that much harder because you constantly have to be at it. You constantly have to be at it. So yeah, there you have it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming down to the final stretch of Sabrina Speaks this evening as we close off this season, this chapter of Spotlight on, I wouldn't say politics, but the processes of governments and its functions. And there are going to be times, I'm quite sure, as we continue to evolve and waiting for the next call up to Parliament, that there are going to be bills and circulations. We'll bring them up here as well, get down into the nitty gritty of things. And should there be something else that you need us to recap, or there's a topic that you want us to discuss, that linking it more on civic responsibility, civil society, their responsibility, what is the no's, what's the do's, what's the don'ts, by all means. Or it doesn't have to be limited there. Look, the good thing about this space is that it's wide open and we can discuss it as long as it's respectful, as you know, we don't get breaches of respect of our audience. And we're going to bring it here. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for joining me for this edition of Sabrina Speak. And tonight, you know, we did actually manage to peel back that curtain of parliamentary privileges. And I hope that you were able to appreciate and understand the information shared, and that you were able to take away again from this episode key information that maybe you would not have known before or otherwise until now, in a manner that is able for all to digest and understand. And this parliamentary privilege that we mentioned is covered under the Constitution and covered in our standing orders. It is a tool. And parliamentary privilege as well is a powerful one. But like any tool, it can build or it can also destroy. And that's a huge takeaway that I want to leave with us this evening, because when used responsibly, it protects our very own democracy. But when it's abused, it harms people, it can harm businesses, and it can harm our very social fabric of our islands. So I want to encourage everyone to continue to be vigilant. Don't corner yourself by any means. And I beg you all don't shut off. I know a lot of things right now are happening around the world. Some of you are a bit concerned. Some are like, I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. But I want to ask you all, please, please do your best and stay informed. Don't get caught in the I don't know, or you only heard the last of a conversation and took it as by belief without researching it or making sure you're contributing to a conversation that is of sound. It's sound. It's based on some facts, not hearsay. And I beg you all to stay engaged, because silence is consent, and that's where you've given up your power. Also, Erskine May publication used in colonial parliaments. Yes, they still use that as well. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Fullerton. So my ask to you, and don't be scared, to please let's demand from those who represent us to use their privileges with integrity and discipline, and definitely with respect. And it says a lot more about them than it does you when they go otherwise. But it has been my pleasure bringing you another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Looking forward to joining you tomorrow again for Open Mic Friday. Yes, where the mics are off. The only script I'll have is whatever news. And of course, every now and again, I got a little backup content in case y'all go MIA on me. But yes, tomorrow is Open Mic Friday, and we're turning the mic over to you. Whatever discussions you want to ensue, whatever topic you want to bring up tomorrow, this is definitely the place for you. It has been my pleasure bringing you another episode. Please be safe on our roads. To all of our ladies and gentlemen in the front lines, uniform service, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for your service. To the rest of you, to all of my commenters, to all of my supporters, all of my WhatsAppers, again, love you lots. Stay safe. See you tomorrow.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.